We're back here at the NFL Scouting Combine downtown Indianapolis with Larra Overton. I'm Matt Taylor, and now it's our pleasure to visit with Charles Davis. You see him on CBS calling games, NFL Network. By the way, NFL Network is providing on-location coverage of the NFL Scouting Combine Thursday through Sunday, starting at 4 o'clock Eastern every single day. Charles is going to be a part of it. Charles, great to have you back in Indianapolis. Good, sir. How are you?
I'm doing great, Matt. It's wonderful to be here with you and Larra. Thank you so much for having me on, and it's always a pleasure, and I can't believe, we actually talked about during the season. I'm on with Ian Eagles, our play-by-play, Evan Washburn, our sideline. So I'm lucky enough to have joined a really terrific team at CBS. We kept talking during the year. We never saw the Colts last year.
You never did.
We never saw the Colts, and that was like the upset of upsets because the year before we'd seen you a few times. We had that great playoff game against Buffalo, and so we'd been around, but the idea that we didn't see you really threw us. And then as we came down the stretch, we all said, you know something, if they sneak into the playoffs, we're going to get them then and not see them all year. Unfortunately, that
Talk
didn't
about
happen.
disappointment.
But none of us saw that coming.
Yeah.
Like especially going into Week 18 with Jacksonville.
So you're the perfect guy to ask then, because you have a very objective view of the Colts. What did you make of their season? Obviously, it ended in disappointment, 9-8, because a handful of weeks before that, they were the team you did not nobody wanted to see inside the AFC playoff picture. How surprised are you, Charles, that the Colts are having to answer the questions that they are right now regarding Carson Wentz?
I am surprised because I thought what we saw leaving Buffalo in the playoff game the year before, this is a team set up for success for the future. It wasn't they're just trying to leak in oil at the end. Now, we knew they had to change on quarterback because the Phillip Rivers question was looming. Would he come back? Would he not come back? But even if he came back, you were going to have to fortify at the quarterback position because of Phillip's age. Well, he decided to go. The next thing you know, you end up with Carson. Well, if there was any better place for him to go, I don't know what it was. Go back with a guy that believed in him, and Frank Reich, who coached him before, being able to run the football with Jonathan Taylor. The surprise for me all year long was the slow start, getting swept by Tennessee. And then when you made the rush late, you were still in it, even though you're getting swept by Tennessee, which told me, wow, this is a disappointment for them. This team is too good to me to have missed last year. Yeah, there's extenuatings here, and here. But all in all, I thought this was a team that there's no other way to characterize it. They had to be disappointed.
Aside from the quarterback situation, Chris Ballard was saying there are a lot of other areas that this team needs to get better, whether that's in the draft, whether that's in free agency, however this shakes out. Between March and September, there is work to be done. Your priorities, aside from the quarterback, where you think the Colts can make some moves, maybe that's in free agency, maybe that's in the draft, where they should be targeting and putting their energy and effort right now.
Larra, when I look at them, that offensive line gets a lot of acclaim, but you're still wondering about your left tackle position. You kind of stop-gapped it last year, getting Eric Fisher, and he had to come in off of the Achilles. So to me, continuing to go there, whatever I do, I don't take Quentin Nelson and play him anywhere else but at guard, because he is all-world guard. I'm already fitting him for a gold jacket. Playing at tackle, he'll be a heck of a player. But guard, dominant. Leave him alone. Ryan Kelly, you're fine, right? Glowinski. Your interior, I think you're covered. Braden Smith at right tackle. That left tackle spot is, to me, that's where the question mark remains. There'll be some guys that you'll have a chance to look at and decide as you go along. I still think in the secondary at the cornerback position. The University of Washington has two. Kyler Gordon and Trent McDuffie. They're two guys that you can look at because I'm trying to see where you are and where you're picking. Those guys would be possible people. Wide receiver is going to be a spot, and it'd be interesting to see what your flavor is on medical checks, because this kid out of Alabama, Jamison Williams, who likely would have gone higher minus injury, may slide down more towards where the Colts are. How fast can you get him back? Can you sit and wait for him a little bit? And if so, what's the payoff? And the payoff could be pretty huge.
Kind of like what we saw a couple years ago when Julian Blackmon was coming off of an injury and dropped a little bit. The Colts were willing to take that assumed risk, or what some other people perceived as a risk. And that's been, something that's interesting, because Julian has certainly been dynamic when he's been
a heck of a player, hasn't he?
Absolutely, he has.
Charles, picking up there, what's your belief in the Colts in terms of how they want to play, how they're built? I mean, obviously, towards the end of the season, they became very Jonathan Taylor-centric. Had a difficult time throwing the ball, only over 200 yards, passing twice in the last 8 games. Based on how the Colts are built and how they want to play, can you win big like that with that formula of being a ground center team? Obviously, they want more balance than they had last year. But being that first ground-oriented team, what do you make of that?
I think you can win big being a ground-oriented team, but I think that you hit on it, Matt, in terms of balance isn't quite the word I'm looking for, but it's in the neighborhood. What I'm looking for is, look, state of Indiana loves its hoops, right? I am the son of a basketball coach. I grew up with basketball all the way through me. Here's how I describe it. You can play half court all you want, but that's a slog, man. I'm telling you, when you're coming down in every set,
that's like Wisconsin right now.
Right, every set you've got to.
Purdue knows all too well.
Right, you've got to execute
really
well. You've got to maximize. You've got to shoot a nice percentage. You got to get to the line. Every set is a grinder. You need some runouts, man. You need some leak outs. You need some easy hoops. Take some pressure off, because it's not just a grinder physically; it's mentally. You kick away a turnover in a game like that, heck, you turn over 10 times in a game like that. That's a problem for you. And 10 isn't very much if you're going up and down and playing in the 90s. What I mean, of course, is can Jonathan Taylor do it? Absolutely. You're going to be centric with him. But can you get those easy throws outside? Can you get some of those 40, 50-yard throws that break things open? Get people off of him so that box isn't 8, 9. Can you get people backed up? Or if you want to come up 8 or 9, make them pay.
Right.
Do you have people to make them pay over the top? That's what I'm talking about. That's why my basketball analogy, I think, fits for them. Sure, no problem. Beat them up, grind them, be able to be good in the half court. But man, if you don't get a few runouts, it's a long night. It's a long season. You're going to win more than your share, but it's difficult. Hubie Brown, the great basketball coach, the great basketball commentator, he coached that way with the Knicks with Bernard King, and won a tremendous series against the Detroit Pistons where Bernard averaged 50 points a game in the series. But as the next series has started and they went on, that's a lot. It's a lot to ask. That's what I'm looking for, some easy shots over the top.
You mentioned cornerback being an area where the Colts could find some talent, especially in that second round with the talent that there is available in this draft. And we have seen the Colts prioritize defensive talent. Last year it was back-to-back picks with Kwity Paye and Dio Odangbo, first and second rounds. The previous year you traded the first-round pick for DeForest Buckner. We know that Chris Ballard, Frank Reich like to prioritize the trenches and addressing the needs that there are within this team, and especially the way that you want to finish games, not just finish the season, finish games, because we did see a lot late where you wanted your defense to be able to close out games, something that Frank Reich touched on yesterday. The addition of Gus Bradley as defensive coordinator, what does he bring, the immediate payoff that there is, and how strong will his voice be in these off-season decisions?
It'll be strong. That's part of what Gus does and part of what people ask of Gus when he goes. Like last year with the Raiders, he brought essentially his own people for his staff. Okay, I don't know quite how it's going in Indianapolis, but
it's getting there.
That's what he's able to bring his group and work. Here's the other part. He and Matt Eberflus are not very opposite in terms of scheme, in terms of belief, in terms of how they coach, all those things. You remember, Matt, we're going to lead the league in effort, right? Gus wants that as well. But the big thing is, scheme-wise, they're both the same people. Front four, go get the quarterback. We're going to beat you up. We're going to take care of things back in the back seven with our scheme and what we're going to do. That is absolutely Gus Bradley. So those safeties, remember Gus has at Seattle. Remember he had Chancellor, he had Earl Thomas. Do you have that enforcer inside? Do you have the guy over the top who will clean up everything? Because at his peak, Earl Thomas was the best eraser in the game. Anything that happened in front, he would erase it on the back end. You're looking for that, but you got to have those pass rushers. He ended up having that last year in Las Vegas. Max Crosby, Pro Bowl guy. Yannick Ngakoue, nearly a double-digit sack guy. They got more out of that defense than they expected. But the numbers aren't great because they are a lot of bend and not break. That's what you're looking for. You want to find that group like Eberflus had, but you want to continue to create turnovers, create takeaways. Big guy in the middle, DeForest, but that's a great place to start. What's coming off the edge? Can Kwity Paye continue to go? Is a David Ojabo available from Michigan in the draft that you can go get? A Trayvon Walker from Georgia that can come off the edge? How about let's just stay in state? Karfalitis. From Purdue. More people can go get the passer because that's what Gus needs so that he can run his games on the back end and not have to blitz.
Charles, I realize the Rams just won the Super Bowl, but we're coming off one of the more electric, exciting, entertaining NFL playoff.
Crazy, right?
The amount of games that we saw. With that in mind, where are the Colts in the AFC hierarchy? Are they a quarterback away, or are they a handful of really good players away.
I think everyone is always a handful away because you're always trying to, make sure you take care of this, take care of that, but nothing's perfect. What's the old adage about buying a house, 80-20?
Mm-hmm.
Right? 80% good, 20 you learn how to live with or work around, that sort of a deal. I think it's kind of what my wife would say for hers, 80-20 is good with me, except I probably lean more towards 30-70 if I'm lucky. And
it's
60,
an economic decision.
Most of the time it's 60-40, but she just puts up with a lot. But the bottom line with all of this is the quarterback is so central. And I thought yesterday was the most interesting day of our combine so far and may prove to be the most interesting day of our combine when the general manager, Chris Ballard, and the head coach, Frank Reich, did not flat out commit to Carson Wentz. That was, to me, that was the reverberation through here. Not that it was like a total shock, but whoa, you gave up a first-round pick. You played him through to solidify the first-round pick because they could have quit playing him at a certain point, and then you don't have to give up the first-round pick. I think it's $28 million, right, for next season. And you're not sure? Well, to me, when you tell me you're not sure, you're sure. You're just trying to figure out what you're going to do next. And that was the most interesting thing to me.
When you talked on the playoff game in Buffalo, it seemed like the Colts were positioning themselves to be a team that was going to be in contention.
Yeah.
I mean, even that latter part of the season, it was the hottest team in the AFC at that point, coming off of the Patriots win and the Christmas night win in Arizona.
Yeah.
With the commitment that there's been to Chris Ballard and to Frank Reich and the pieces that you have invested in, a year ago we were saying this is a team that's built to win now. This is a team that you don't see the ownership having a lot of patience where, we're in a building phase. We've had consistency in our front office, in our coaching staff. How close can this team get this offseason if they're aggressive in addressing the needs that they have? How strong is the core if you can find ways to fix, starting with your quarterback situation?
Yeah, Larra, I'm bullish on them. I really am because I'm a big Chris Ballard fan. I'm a huge Frank Reich fan. I love what they do and how they present and how they work together and put together a heck of a roster. Last year was a surprise. It's an absolute surprise, but I don't expect that to continue. The key is, of course, we said you got to have the quarterback that they believe in, have that consistency, and you got to find some guys who can give you some easy plays on offense. Jonathan Taylor is a marvel, but at some point, somebody's got to make some plays over the top. And upgraded all of your receiver positions is not out of line, being able to bring in and fortify. I like your tight ends who shred you. Okay, in today's NFL, tight ends shred people. We're not looking for those guys mashers. They do a nice job, but who's going to shred you down the middle and scare you? Okay, who's scaring me out wide? Like when I have to put together a game plan, I'm like, oh boy, I better get an extra step or two back here. Do we have that? Or do we have guys who make some plays in some good games and it looks pretty good, but at the end of the year, again, did I scare anyone? Those are the things I think that they're looking for.
Do you have to have that now in order to win big?
I think you absolutely have to. I don't think there's any question about it. Look at the Rams this year.
Right.
Okay. They like to run the football. Sean McVay likes to. They lost Cam Akers early. They made do pretty well with Darrell Henderson.
What they have in the Super Bowl, like 80 yards, right?
Yeah, didn't run it very well, but by the time it was said and done, Cooper Kupp made the plays, even though you knew he was coming. And before he got hurt, Beckham was on his way to another big game because he was over 100 yards in the NFC Championship game. He was, I think, 2 catches, 52 yards. He had already created a big play. They were doing it without Tyler Higbee, who makes plays and shreds you down the middle. I think you have to have those guys. If you don't have them, you're not going to be able to get it done.
Last one for me, Charles. Last year, Anthony Costanzo retires. The Colts need, that long-term
Found out
answer.
just how dependable he is, didn't we?
Exactly. Yeah, very underrated player. Not in Indianapolis, but I think league-wide. The Colts didn't draft a left tackle last year, and they had the first-round pick a year ago. They don't have that this year, and if they spend high draft capital in the first couple of rounds at left tackle, they want that guy to be a left tackle. They don't want a project. They want it to be.
You don't want creative.
For the most part, plug and play. Are there any guys like that in round 2?
In round 2? Look, you might be able to find. What number are you picking in 1?
47, I think.
Okay, you're 47 because you don't have a first-round
right.
pick. I don't think a Trevor Penning lasts that long from Northern Iowa. But can a Max Mitchell from the University of Louisiana do it, right? Can you even go even deeper in the draft? There's a kid named Matt Waletzko out of the University of North Dakota. Now, the problem is probably a little bit more of a project. Okay, that's not what you're looking for. But I'm just saying where you're picking and where you're going, those guys would be the type of guys that you're trying to looking at and saying, look, a Bernhard Ryman, who's coming out of Central Michigan, played a lot of right tackle. He has the footwork. Can he be a left tackle? And he's highly rated. I think he's in my colleague Daniel Jeremiah's top 50 players in this draft. So could he be a possibility as well? There's so many different guys coming out. But, look, we've often found those guys later in the draft. We found guys who can plug in and play. Remember Donald Penn? You remember, like, he held down left tackle for Tampa Bay and the Raiders for a long time. Was he like, what, six round pick, 7-round pick?
Day 3 guy.
You know, so this can happen, but you're really trying to find your guys early as possible.
You've spent a lot of time in Indy between the combine, covering games here, covering our games at Lucas Oil Stadium.
College ball.
College ball as well. Anytime you're here, considering this might be the last time for a while that we're in Indianapolis, go-to favorite spot you got to get if you're here in town, regardless if it's, here at the combine or if it's during the NFL regular season.
It's crazy. I shouldn't say this, and I can't remember the name, but you know where the big statue is, the circle?
Yeah,
right?
Monument Circle.
Monument Circle. What's that candy store right there?
Oh, Rocket Fizz.
Rocket Fizz.
Boom.
I love it.
Everyone says St. Elmo's. I get it. Right?
I want a Laffy Taffy.
Everyone says that.
Because they've got the cool vintage candies.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Larra. And when I go in there, all of a sudden, I go from 57 years old to 5.
Yes. They have like 600 different types of sodas.
And I'm all of a sudden my height is down. I can barely see over the counter, and I was like, I have this much money. I want 2 of those and 3 of those and this and that. That's how I am in that place. I get reduced, and all of a sudden all that is swirling around. I'm this little kid in New Paltz, New York, with barely enough change in my pocket.
Oh hell
I'm
yeah!
gonna go get my soda pop, and I'm gonna go get my candy bar, and I am fired up. And the vintage stuff. Absolutely.
We're going to have to share, man. Sour Patch Kids for
Sour
life.
Patch
Let's go.
Kids.
The BB bats.
Right? Get the whole all the BB bats. Are you kidding me? You just brought the kid back. I'm in. And you got to get the pack of baseball cards with the lousy gum.
Oh yeah.
You still chewed the gum. I
Still
don't know
chewed the
why.
gum.
Loses flavor
There
in
was
13 seconds.
13. You're getting the good stuff.
Hell yeah.
I never had flavor, but I knew what Carl Yastrzemski hit the year before.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That was back when cards mattered, man.
And the best part is when you get those cards, you don't even know who the player is, and you're like, Who's Sonny Siebert? Why am I getting Sonny Siebert? And
Throw it away.
And whoever the Sonny Siebert fan, family, I apologize. I don't mean to disparage, because he was a Pirate, and I was a big Pirates fan, So I used to be able to do the whole lineup and the whole thing, and then you put the cards in put it in the spokes of your bike, and you were good to go.
I love it. We're going back in time with Charles Davis. Again, check him out, NFL Network.
Pop Rocks. Don't forget Pop Rocks.
Pop Rocks.
Don't eat Pop Rocks because it'll explode in your mouth. Don't eat Pop Rocks and drink a soda because you'll get yourself hurt. Remember those days?
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Indianapolis is the best city in the country because of the Rocket Fizz.
Yeah, you
on
guys go to
Monument
St.
Circle.
Elmo's.
Yeah.
I will be cleaning out.
Charles has a dentist appointment tomorrow
I have a
to fill
dentist
out a couple of
appointment,
cavities.
but I also have an open tab like Norm from Cheers at Rocket Fizz.
I appreciate you stopping by,
Appreciate you
man.
guys. Thank you so much.